All right, we're live now. Okay. All right. 3, 2, 1. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the October 23rd edition of the Gwtf podcast. My name is Nick Phillips, joined as always by my line mates Kevin Bartman.
What's up, boys?
And Dan Maratz.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
So, guys, we've just gotten underway at the NHL season. Everyone's played a handful of games, probably about 7 to 9 games since we last talked before the regular season started. And maybe we'll start this podcast on a positive note by Eddie Olczyk rejoining the booth for the last Wednesday night rivalry game, between the Blues and Blackhawks. And as we're recording here on the Sunday night, the 22nd, obviously, Brian Boyle was just medically cleared to return to Devils practice. So he was a big, free agent signing for them after getting dealt to Toronto and had a little bit of a bout with leukemia. So good to see some familiar faces returning to rinks around you guys at home. So any quick thoughts on those guys real quick?
Yeah, just, really good news all around. Glad to see both of them are back. I thought it was really touching what they did for Eddie during the game and everything, and all the, appreciation, all the support he's got, and, just hearing him talk again, announcing. And like he said in his own words, he said it was the best medicine he has is to be back in the booth. So I'm glad to hear his voice again. And then with Boyle, he's a guy I've always liked watching play on the Rangers and on Tampa and now on the Devils. Hopefully we'll see him pretty soon here. So I'm glad he's back out on the ice as well. So good for both of them.
Yeah, and with the Devils, it looks like he could jump into a pretty solid, defensive group that's coming up. We're seeing Will Butcher, who's, I think it was, he had like the most assists through 4 games or something for a rookie defenseman. So, the Devils, they got a lot of young talent. So, and it's obviously good to see Boyle, jumping back into the game if he ends up doing so. And then with Eddie O, it was great because, you could just tell he wanted to be there. Like you said, Dan, it's the best medicine for him. It didn't seem like, NBC or WGN was rushing him into it or forcing him to it. It's just he wanted to be there. He just genuinely loves doing it. So, good stuff for those two.
Sorry, I was typing something. Well, Dan, what time we at?
We're at 3:05.
3:05. I just wanted to, Kevin, you said something about defense? Boyle's a forward. Did you just mean their D was good in general?
Were you thinking of Dan Boyle?
Yeah. Whatever.
Do you want to restart it?
As a Jimbo, yeah.
Okay. All right. You can just restart your thing on that. I caught that. And I didn't know what you meant. You want to just redo it?
Yeah, one sec. Let me collect my thoughts.
You said with the Devils, he's joining. If Boyle's able to return,
yeah,
he's joining.
I did. That's a mess up right there.
Yeah, no, just all you got to say is, he's joining a team that's playing well and has a good defensive core that's helping them win or something instead. So, yeah, you'll be good. Yeah, fucking stink. All right.
All right, what time are we at?
4:21.
All right. All right. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, I definitely agree with Boiler there. He's going to be joining a seemingly pretty solid Devils team. They're off to a pretty hot start. We're seeing a lot of good stuff from the young guys like Nico Hischier, and Will Butcher has been surprisingly very good. I thought he had some low expectations, but anyways, I think it's awesome that he's trying to get back on the ice. I don't think they're going to rush him into anything, as they shouldn't. But it's definitely really encouraging to see that he got cleared to practice. And then with Eddie O, just being a Hawks fan, it's great to hear his voice again. And obviously, he really wanted to do this. People weren't forcing him. WGN, NBC, they weren't forcing him to be back. You could tell he was just really, really, really hoping to get back in the booth. So definitely good stuff all around.
Yeah, definitely. I think the first thing we'll talk about, boys, outside of that awesome bit of news there with Eddie O and Boiler, kind of getting back around the game, which they both love, is just some early impressions of some of the teams in the early get-go of the season. So obviously you just mentioned the Devils playing well, and the game Eddie O did was the Blues. The Blues are playing well. Just a few other teams off the top of my head are, Tampa, Toronto, and Knights going 6-0-1 to start. Unfortunately, they've lost Malcolm Subban, but if you boys want to jump in and just kind of talk about any of those teams and the LA Kings as well, who I think people forget about them and their core that's won a couple of those cups, but with the head coaching change there, maybe the new voice is kind of helping them right the ship a little bit. I mean, he was on the bench. Stevens was on the bench with them. But, just talk about the good teams, and then we'll get into the bad teams. Cough, cough, Montreal. But, yeah, go ahead,
I guess, the obvious one, I guess, would be Vegas because they're the new kid on the block. And Vegas actually tweeted out something about recent expansion teams and the amount of points that they've had in the first 7 games. And they are the best by 5 points. I think Tampa was second with 7 points through 7 games or something like that. But they're at 12. So they're doing things the right way, it seems, right now. I think Neil is really kind of the guy that's leading by example. Especially that Dallas game. I believe he tied it and won it for him. Obviously now they've got some injuries.
Sick goal too. The sick one where he shot it across when he was falling down.
Yeah. But it almost seems like, I don't know if it's because of what happened in Vegas or whatever, with, the tragedy with the shooting, but they just seem to be playing with a type of passion that you don't, maybe you don't see all that often. It just seems like there's an extra sort of fire lit underneath them, and it kind of comes from, all the new Vegas fans. So I'm really excited to see them doing well. Obviously their next game's against the Hawks, and they're playing a kid who just played in his first NHL game. So, it'll be interesting to see how they do with the amount of injuries they have, especially against a team like the Hawks.
Yeah, I think it's really cool how just sort of the whole city of Vegas is really railing behind this team. Like, there's definitely a lot of uncertainty going into it, especially considering the expansion draft and just how, iffy I feel like the general consensus was on the roster. But, they're playing with fire, like you said, Dan, and it's pretty fun to watch from the outside looking in. And then another thing I want to say was the Maple Leafs are just looking every bit as good as we expected. Like, Matthews has gotten even better. Marner has gotten better. Marlowe stepped in and done a really good job. Just everyone's playing. They're hitting all cylinders. And I think I checked earlier today. They're definitely the odds-on favorite to win the Cup, which is could be a hot take 7 games into the year.
That's crazy. I mean, I like them too. But
good. They are good.
Yeah, they are good. Matthews is unbelievable. I want to say he has at least 2 OT winners already. Kevin,
he has 1.
Yeah, at least 1. I mean, but he's been really, really good. And in that division too, if we want to stick in that division, I've been damn impressed with Tampa. Last night they put up a touchdown on the two-time defending Stanley Cup champions, and I don't know, this might be a bit of a strong take as well, but I think that you can make a damn good argument that Nikita Kucherov is a top 5 player in the NHL right now. He's definitely has the best contract in the NHL right now, as far as guys who aren't on their entry-level contracts, because obviously McDavid would be the pick for that. But I mean, seriously, Kucherov is just unbelievable. He's got 17 points in his first 9 games. He's got 10 goals already.
Yeah.
I think he had a goal in each of his first 6 games. I mean, the guy is just lighting it up. And the one thing I always said was back in that Stamkos saga, Stamkos. There, one second. Someone's breathing heavy in the mic, like really loud. Anyone hear that?
Yeah, I think that's Dan.
Is it really me?
Yeah, that's so. What I was talking about. Yeah.
Sorry. Okay.
All right, I'm gonna restart. I'm just gonna restart the Toronto part.
Yeah. Well, my bad.
What time is it, Dan? What time is it, Dan?
It is 10 minutes, 35 seconds.
I would write that down, and then I'm gonna redo my part now.
Okay, I can figure it out.
Sorry, Nick.
All right. Oh, good. So I would just. I think with your illness, Dan, you should just be on mute.
Just unmute until I talk.
On mute, yeah, and then only talk. Not that we don't like it. Yeah, just yeah. All right. So mute. Gosh. All right. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, I think Toronto's looked excellent too, Dan, with Austin Matthews obviously taking that next step, as you said, and continuing to solidify his dominance and his spot as the best player on a young nucleus that's really good with Nylander and Marner and Riley and all them guys. And Anderson's, been pretty solid for them for the most part in the net in the early part of the year. I think Matthews already's got like 2 or 3 overtime goals, at least 2. I mean, the guy's just unbelievably clutch player. He sniped our Blackhawks one of those games, and they just go out there and they just put up a ton of offensive output, and their defense are good at moving the puck, and Riley's good, and Zaitsev has been fantastic for them too. So that's a team that's going to be dangerous, and probably I'd say right now looking like a team poised to make it out of the first round this year after kind of giving Washington a good series last year. But staying in that division, the team that's really caught my eye right now is 2 are LA and Tampa Bay. But just to stick with in the division, I'll start with Tampa Bay. I don't know if you guys have seen what Nikita Kucherov's doing, but this guy is definitely a top 5 player in the NHL. A lot of people might not agree with that. A lot of people might not watch a lot of Lightning games just because they're in a non-traditional hockey market, or they just have it ingrained in their head that Stamkos is the face of the franchise. But this dude is their best player. And I always thought when that whole Stamkos saga was going on, will the Sabres pay him? Will he go to the Leafs? Will Detroit sign him? I always said if you're Tampa, go ahead and try to get Steven Stamkos, but you better make sure that Kucherov is going to be able to get some money, because he's going to be really good, and he's even better than even I thought he was going to be. The guy is absolutely fantastic. He's got 17 points in his first 9 games. He's potted 10 goals, so him and Ovi, I think, are both tied for the league lead with 10 right now. Ovechkin's been tearing it up as well. But, I mean, Kucherov is just the best player on that team right now, and he's really helping carry that offense. And a lot of people are performing well on that offense. They just light up teams. They just put up a touchdown on the 2-time defending champion Penguins, the other night. So Tampa's looking really good. And the LA Kings, a team that a lot of people maybe had written off because of some, their first round exit and missing the playoffs. And, I think Stevens behind the bench being a new voice perhaps is helping right the ship a little bit. And obviously JQ in the net there has had some time to heal and, get mentally prepared. And you know what, maybe just not having to play so deep, into the spring and into June the last couple of years has maybe kind of helped freshen their legs or something. And I mean, it's early and a lot can change, but I mean, Tampa, they missed the playoffs last year. So did LA. And those two teams are just, we all knew they had the talent. It was just, are they going to be able to right the ship? And Tampa was the sexy pick for the cup earlier in the year. And I don't know if a lot of people really were thinking about LA as far as that division goes. Everyone was kind of swooning over Edmonton, who's kind of gotten off to a rough start, and Draisaitl's currently out with a concussion. But I'm really impressed with Tampa and LA.
Yeah, to go along with LA, I just want to bring up Dustin Brown. As you just mentioned, Nick, with them missing the playoffs 2 out of the last 3 years, the one year that they did make it was a first-round exit with San Jose. Dustin Brown also lost his C during that period, and it seems finally somehow the message has gotten through He has 5 goals and 6 assists. He's got 11 points, which is tied with Kopitar for the team high. So something's going on with him where he finally is kind of back up to that kind of fearless,
Yeah, he seemed like a buyout candidate,
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah, exactly. And now he's something clicked in him finally to where he's certainly not. And yeah, I mean he's producing, so it's good to see him back. Because I was kind of a fan of his in 12 and not so much in 14 because they beat the Hawks, but definitely 12. He can just be an absolute force to be reckoned with his physical play, but he can also score. So it's good to see him producing this year so far, at least.
Yeah, Nick, you mentioned a lot of people probably had written off LA. I was definitely one of those guys in the offseason. It just seemed like there's so much disarray, from top to bottom because, last year they fired their GM and their head coach. And then you saw this stuff about Drew Doughty just like seemingly not really wanting to play there, just, not seeming to care about anything. And then you also had to consider like all the big contracts that they've given out the past few years, and they might be a little strapped for cash in the coming years. So I personally thought that their golden days were coming to an end, but they're starting off pretty strong. And obviously these guys are still really good. Kopitar is, I don't know how old he is. He might be 29, 30, but this core they have they're still really good hockey players. So, it seems like Stevens is, like you said, is really getting to them. There's been a change of culture maybe. So, they're a team to watch, at least this far.
Yeah, the only downside is I think Jeff Carter is going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. He had some kind of like lower body injury, I think, somewhere around his leg or ankle. So I don't know if he's going under the knife or what, but obviously Jeff Carter's a damn good goal scorer for them. So he's going to be missing some time. Staying in that division, we already touched on Vegas, but I want to get back to that team because of the Subban thing. So Fleury got injured one of the first couple games, and they had just claimed Malcolm Subban off waivers from Boston. And his first start, he plays Boston, beats them, and had played well for them. Obviously, they're 6-0-1. They've been playing some good hockey, outside of a game where they kind of played a loosey-goosey game against Detroit. But they're going to be out Subban for 4 weeks, sounds like, and we don't know when Fleury's going to be back. So for a team like Vegas that, had the expansion draft and probably has a plethora of defensemen and a few expendable guys on their team, Kevin, Dan, whoever wants to take it, do you guys think that they, seeing how it's early, but 6-0-1 strikes, maybe sends a feeling that maybe they could contend? Are they ready to make a trade and try to stay in this thing, or do they think they're having a fluky? They might be having a fluky start and playing above their heads. So I really don't know if they'd make the trade right now, but I thought I'd just ask.
Well, yeah, even if they were, like, I just feel like this, anything that happens this season is icing on the cake for them, at least in my opinion. So I think rushing into a trade for a good to great goalie at this point, through 7 games is kind of a little much at this point. I don't know, Dan. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a little early still. We're only so many games into the season, so I think it would be kind of stupid, or I just don't think it would be smart if they maybe push for a trade that ends up kind of biting them in the ass on the back end of the season. They're riding high. Maybe it doesn't matter who's in net for them, because they've got all this momentum going for them. They have this belief that they, can compete in this league, and it seems like they can. So I think right now you just kind of play it conservative, or at least that's I think you would just kind of play it conservative. And I don't know. Like I said earlier, they play the Hawks next. I don't think they've really played a supercharged offense like the Hawks yet.
They played the Bruins.
But with the Hawks, you got, we've gone over it over numerous podcasts. Kane, Taves, Saad now is back. Hartman's playing well. He's got 9 points. All these guys. So
Schmaltz is electric.
Yeah,
Barstool Chief, man. Barstool Chief, man,
Exactly.
he called that. He called
Exactly.
that.
So, I mean, yeah, you'll probably take, a couple losses, or at least I hope, because, I obviously don't want the Hawks to lose. But, yeah, I would say, for them, it would be best not to make any kind of irrational trades or whatever, Hey,
That kind of goes
let the
against
kid.
McPhee's plan too, because he was all about pretty much just hoarding assets,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
from the
and
beginning. So
a lot of people pointed out the Pickard trade because they had
I was
him,
just
and
gonna
now
say,
they,
yeah,
yeah,
Oh yeah.
and now they don't. So now they're kind of playing, an unknown, the dance kid. I mean, he
And
stopped.
then he's called up Legacy from AHL
Yeah.
Chicago.
Hmm.
So I
So
mean, these dudes are relatively unknown.
super fresh.
Banks played well. I mean, I was watching that game against the Blues. He made some crazy saves. They stole that game. They were up, Blues tied it, and then the Blues completely outplayed them down by the last 10 minutes of the third period. And Danks capped a minute. So I don't know if he could do that for a month, but, whatever.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Just try to ride the wave of momentum that they have right now, and then maybe later on, once we get a little deeper into the season, maybe that's when you make a move.
Yes. And speaking of momentum, Montreal's got some momentum going straight into the ground, as well as the 1 point Arizona Coyotes, who stink. They are so bad. I can't believe how bad they are. I thought they were actually going to be decently improved, not a playoff team, but they've made so many moves for these proven veterans that I thought, they would have some sort of improvement on what they've been. And their GM's a big analytics guy. I'm a proponent of incorporating analytics on top of the eye test, and they've made moves for Stepan, Jalmerson, Ronta, and shortly into the season, Jason Demers. And through 7 or 8 games, they don't even have a win yet. They've gotten one loser point, and Montreal can't score any goals. I don't know what's going on with them. Actually, I do know what's going on with them. They have no fucking centers, but
well, dude, they don't even know, like, with Drouin and Galchenyuk, they don't even know what positions they play.
I mean, those are your cornerstones. I mean, those are guys you're hoping are going to take over for a team they've lacked offense with the guys they've had there. Like, Pacioretty's been a good player for them, but you expect Galchenyuk and Drouin to be kind of your top point getters, based on where all these guys are in the stages of their careers. And you've got Carey Price in net, who it's kind of like the NFL team where you'd think, they've got a bad defense or a bad whatever, and you think, they have an elite quarterback, so he kind of saves the team. It's the same concept with Montreal. They're just a bad team, but Carey Price kind of helps them tread water. But when you've kind of made some moves and you've given Galchenyuk a little bit of money, and you go out and you trade for Drouin and you trade one of your top prospects for him and sign him to a long-term deal, and you're an original 6 team and you're Montreal and you're a hockey mecca and you're still not scoring, it's kind of bad for the goalie that you also just
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Oh, I thought you cut off or something.
I have a point. I just was writing notes. That's why I didn't say anything.
What's the point? What's the time though?
Yeah.
So Kevin can write it down.
Time is 23 minutes, 50 seconds.
Ooh.
Got it down?
Yeah.
Did you write it, Kevin? You got it?
Yeah, I got it.
The other one was 305. Did they sign Carey Price?
Yeah. They signed him for
10 years?
10 years, yeah.
For 8 years. Okay. I just wanted to make sure he did this offseason.
It was a long deal.
Okay. Now someone else can rant about Montreal.
Okay. Hang on. I gotta write this down because I'm not gonna be able to do this if I don't write it down.
They fucking stink.
That's
someone shit on Arizona too.
I like shitting on the Habs more. Kevin, you want to shit on them?
On the Coyotes?
Yes.
Not really. I mean, they're such a boring team.
Yeah, they really are.
Well, they got rid of Tippett and they got
finally
Tocchet, and they still stink.
Oh,
they made all these. What?
Oh fuck! Never mind.
They got Rick Tocchet for the Penguins, and they still stink. Oh. All right, who's going next? you want Kevin to go first while you write your?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, if that works. Yeah.
Kevin's ready.
All right, who am I?
All right, I'm gonna mute
shit on?
myself.
You shit on whoever you want. I just shit on Montreal and Arizona. You can learn to say whatever you want. You can go off anything I said. You can shit on another team.
Oh, I was gonna say one thing about Drew and like how,
Go ahead.
like, dude, there's such high expectations that they've set for him. Like, have you noticed how much like organizations he's sponsored up or partnered up with and like donated to? Have you noticed that?
Just, I don't know.
Fuck.
Do it for the podcast.
Okay.
Be good dialogue.
Do you know what you're gonna say in response?
I'll think of something on the fly.
Whatever. Go with the flow.
Go with the flow.
God damn it! If I wasn't muted, I would have beat you to that. There's
right,
too many times you can use that.
All right, you sick fuck. Let's continue.
Hey, fuck you. I'll just mute myself again. Oh, I didn't even mute myself.
All right.
Oh, am I going or is Kevin going?
I was just gonna say that quick thing about Druin.
Yeah,
okay, cool.
Dan, right, give Kevin the time that we're starting now, and then he'll go, and then you go.
I can figure it out. Like I'll.
26 minutes, 33 seconds.
Okay.
All right.
All right. 3, 2, 1. One thing I will say about the Habs is that I feel like they've set such lofty expectations for Druin. And I mean, it's only 7 games into the year, but like he's doing nothing. Like he's partnered up with, you'd think he's like the king of Montreal right now. He's partnered with like every fucking children's hospital or every charity, and he's just dishing out money like it's nothing. And he's playing like shit on the ice. So like, I don't know if that has anything to do with it. I would doubt it, but it's kind of funny. Especially if they dump a guy like Subban who did the same thing, and
that's the only thing I'll say is that if they're pressuring, if he's trying to be the next Subban,
they're forcing it. They're like, hey, you gotta, like, they're forcing him to be the guy around there. It's like, yeah, give $1 million to this hospital, and he seems like, I don't want to do this, but like whatever.
Oh man, that's ice cold. I don't know if that's true, but it's funny.
Whatever. That's just the one thought I've had about Druin.
Yeah, and then just to bring up another point about the Habs, I can't stand them, so I love shitting on them. But just to name a few games that they've played. Nick, as you said, they lost to the Ducks big, 6 goals. They gave up 5 against the Kings. They gave up 5 against the Sharks. They gave up 6 against the Caps. They scored first against the Hawks and then did nothing the rest of the game and lost 3-1. So these big, these amount of goals that they're giving up. I mean, that's hard for even like a really super powered offense to compete with if you're giving up 5-6 goals every night. And then we were talking about Druin just now. He's leading the team with 5 points, and we were mentioning Pacioretty, who usually has like 50 or 60. Bad. That's what I'm saying. They're brutal. Like Druin has 5 points total. And we were just talking about Kucherov. Stamkos has 18 points. He has more than Kucherov.
Oh, man.
That is terrible. And we were talking about Pacioretty, who, usually he has 60 points or so every year. At least I think he's somewhere in that ballpark. He's nowhere to be found. So it's really pathetic, and I'm totally okay with it because I can't stand the Habs. So it's kind of fun to watch them because usually the only shining star is Carey Price, and it's like he can't even do anything now because they're giving
what I say though?
Touchdowns every 2 games.
I say too bad. He's carried that damn team for so
long. That's what
long.
I'm saying. He can't do it anymore.
It's time for he got to because they just signed him for 8 years at about $1 billion a year. But so he better play well. But I mean, if people are going to get on Carey Price and say, well, we're losing because Carey Price, or we're losing, we're losing because of, yeah, it was a piss poor attempt at a French accent. But if the Habs are not, if people are going to shit on Carey Price, well, fuck them because that guy has completely carried them for a number of years. It's time that they help him out. He's not going to struggle forever. He's gonna improve, and he's gonna have a good year. And he's gonna, at the end of the year, I'm pretty sure his numbers will be close to comparable to his career totals. But it's not Carey Price's fault. Too bad. Even if he was playing stellar goaltending, and giving up only 2 or 3 a game instead of 5, well, your offense is still not scoring, so it really doesn't matter how well he's playing in the net. But Montreal, I mean, Julian, I mean, I don't think it's on him. I mean, the whole positionless thing with Drouin and Galchenyuk, or are they a winger? Are they a center?
I think that falls on them too.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just falls on everyone. I think everyone's kind of accountable for this. But man, if I read anything about Carey Price being the reason for this, I will just laugh my ass off and shut off my screen, because you can't even say anything to that. He's carried them for so long, and they made a few offensive moves, and you know what? They can't score. And guess what? For a team that can't score, maybe you should have stopped being cheap asses and gotten Radulov back, even though he's kind of a head case. Maybe another guy that can score goals would be good for your team, but I digress.
Yeah, they're fucked.
Look, yeah, they're fucked.
Fucked. Nice. Love it.
Yeah. So they stink. As I said, the Coyotes stink. Bring in Rick Tocchet from the Penguins. I'm sure they'll, hit a stretch here soon of good hockey. I just feel like they have too many decent players on their team now to be this bad. I mean, I don't think they have like anybody really that's spectacular on their team. I think Dvorak and Clayton Keller, who are going to be really good players, but
I don't know why Dylan Strome isn't on the roster yet.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Like, what's the harm in bringing him up? Like, he's one of the top prospects in hockey. Just fuck it. Like, who cares?
Yeah, I mean, I just think they want some just give him a little more seasoning down there. But just, yeah, Strome could do nothing but help them right now. But I think they felt like he still had some things to improve on. Maybe they want him to, keep working on his defense and stuff like that too. And they thought they would have enough offensive output right now they just got Stepan. They've got Domi. You hope Duclair can do something this year. You've got Keller and, a few other solid guys. So I think maybe they thought they could get away with him, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him up soon. But
yeah,
I don't really know. I think the other thing too is maybe they don't want to bring him up right now unless they're contending, and they think like he could almost be like a de facto deadline deal for them. But the way they're playing right now, it doesn't look like they'll be contending. So maybe they'll bring him up toward the end of the year or something. But just an interesting team. Chayka seems like he's a good GM, but they brought in a new coach. They've kind of changed the culture. They brought in some veterans to mentor the kids and guys that are, they're kind of like guys who are in the middle to the end part of their prime years, but they're still good. Like the guys I mentioned earlier that they traded for. But, yeah, they're not doing so hot. And Edmonton, they're going to be okay. They're going to go to the playoffs, but I think we should talk about them a little bit. It's hard to say what's going on with them. Obviously, Draisaitl being out hurts them, but I mean, they're a good team. I don't know. They're just hitting a bit of a rough spell to start the year. But any thoughts on Edmonton, or is there anything that's of a concern that you guys have seen so far? Where they're still young. People forget they're still young because the guys have been just impact players right away for them. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's so early into the season. I think they're going to go to the playoffs.
Of course, they're going to the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, Draisaitl.
They're going to win the Pacific, probably.
Yeah, I'm sure they will.
But
exactly, and obviously Draisaitl hurts them right now. But everybody hits their rut at some point in the year. Some people it happens. Some teams it happens right away. I don't think the Habs and the Coyotes are in a rut. I think they just flat out suck. But a team like the Oilers, they're in a rut. And then other teams, they hit it after, Christmas or something like that, or right before playoffs. Everybody hits a rut at some point. So, if you're an Oilers fan, hopefully this is your rut. But I don't have any doubt, Nick, like you, that they'll, just shoot to the top and be the team that we kind of saw last year, and hopefully they can go even further. Because it's such a fun team to watch, and that atmosphere in their even in their old building, but now in the new building too that they have, they're just a really exciting team to watch. So I just think they're in a rut to start the season, which is it's whatever. So it's not that big a deal.
Yeah, I agree, and I could be wrong, but I mean it's largely the same team as last year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, there's really no reason for anyone to believe that like they're just I don't know, they're like overperforming last year. Like they're a really good team. So yeah, it's what 7 games into the year, they'll be fine. So there's really no doubts for me. They got the best player on the planet. I'll say it.
Mm-hmm.
It is McDavid's league now. I don't know.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
Yeah, and I mean Yamamoto, who they just drafted, he got pulled up right away. That was kind of a surprise thing out of camp that he made the team. They'd love if Puljujarvi had worked out. He's looking kind of like an iffy pick right now for them. He would have been huge for them. I remember before, if you guys remember before the draft, there was talk about, well, who's the better Finnish player in this draft, and it was Laine or Puljujarvi, and I think that answer is becoming quite clear about who's better between those two guys. I mean, Laine's
that was a thing.
Yeah, it was. I mean, they both went top 4 in the draft. It was a debate. I mean, I think a lot of people thought Laine, but I mean, a lot of people put them, on the same echelon. Obviously, they're different players, but as far as who was this, as far as value at the top of the draft, a lot of people thought, there was a lot of people picking both guys. But 2 teams that I also wanted to mention, we've already kind of pooped all over Montreal and Arizona as a roll. Sorry. But the other 2 teams that I wanted to talk about who've had some good playoff runs in recent years, 2 of which who have been in the Stanley Cup the last 3 years, who are looking like they are trending downward, and maybe their core is also trending downward, specifically the Rangers with Henrik in the net and San Jose. Those 2 teams, both are kind of off to brutal starts. And I just want to clarify for everyone at home, just because the team's off to a bad start doesn't mean they're going to finish the year where they are. And they obviously, Rangers and Sharks are talented enough to make the playoffs, but the way they're playing right now, it definitely raises some concerns. Those 2 teams just, first of all, the Rangers are just boring to watch. They just play a boring brand of hockey, and sometimes it can be kind of hard. It just can be kind of hard for them because, if they're not scoring a lot of pressures on Henrik, on the few shots he does face. So if he lots in a couple, it's kind of backbreaking for them. And San Jose's kind of got a bit of a core that's getting older, but guys that are still talented. I mean, obviously, Vlasic, Burns, and Thornton, they've been around a while. Pavelski's even in his 30s now. So they're kind of hoping Couture takes that team over and stuff. But both those teams have just been playing bad. Just pretty surprising. I mean, I thought San Jose, they were a playoff team last year, and Edmonton smoked them. But it's just kind of surprising to see New York and San Jose so low in points to start the year. And Minnesota, too, is not really playing that well. So I don't know what's going on in the league right now. It's kind of crazy. It's a fluid league. There's a lot of parity. You'd rather have it like that than the NBA where there's about 3 or 4 actually good teams. But some good teams with some good players who are faces of the franchise, stuff like that are just not playing so hot right now.
Also the Flames, too. Like, they're one of the ones who I'm kind of wondering, what's going on there. And then they also just put Yager on IR, not an hour ago. So, just a rough start for the Flames.
And their defense, though, I mean, that was a team I expected to be really, really good. I thought it all really hinged on Mike Smith. I mean, if they could all he's got to do is just play average. I mean, if he just plays average, they brought in Hamonic, you've got Brody, you've got Gio, and you've got Dougie Hamilton. Their defense is wicked good, but yeah, I just kind of always thought it hinged on Mike Smith because, I mean, they've got the offense. I mean, they've got the guys in place there to score the goals. I mean, if you got that defense, if it's been like it was like it's like the Nashville teams from earlier in the decade with the defense where they had no offense, except you've got Monahan and you've got Gaudreau and you've got Bennett and you've got these guys that can put the puck in the net. So it's weird to see them struggling. I totally agree with them too. I thought they were going to be just behind Edmonton this year. I thought they were poised to have a strong year, but yeah, they haven't gotten out of the gates hot, if you will.
Oh,
Oh, look at that. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of hit the point on the Rangers again too. I mean, all the teams we've talked about, I pretty much could say they've surprised me. The Sharks, the Flames, the Rangers. I feel like the Rangers play the same brand of hockey as the Habs do, in a way. And Nick, all three of us were talking about it where, Habs Rangers games are some of the most boring in the league, because it's Price versus Lundqvist, and there's not, I mean, yeah, the Rangers have Nash and whatnot, but it's mostly focused on the back end of things. And it's actually interesting. The Sharks and the Rangers do play each other tomorrow night. So it'll be kind of interesting to see. They don't, those two teams rarely ever play each other. But yeah, I think the Flames is probably the biggest one. I think for the Sharks, they're just kind of getting old, some of them. And, with the resurgence of the Kings, you could say in the early stages of the season, and Vegas, if you start off slow in this league, sometimes it can really bite you in the butt. But yeah, I would say the Flames for me, along with you two, is probably the biggest surprise. Just because the goaltending they have now and the team that have had the last couple of years, you'd expect them to be doing a little bit better than they are right now. But it's so early. Again, it's super early.
Bad.
No, exactly.
They're just playing average. But I thought they were going to be really good. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, 4-4. So I mean, it's nothing to freak out about. But yeah, exactly. So
right. All right, let's take a break. Let's regroup. What time? Yeah. What time are we?
Hold on. I gotta cough up a lung here real quick. Time 42 minutes 40 seconds.
All right, we could probably maybe wrap it up soon if we have nothing to talk about.
Shit, we got to talk about Ovi.
I
mentioned him in the beginning.
Yeah.
Just if you want to bring it up, just say, "Hey Nick, I know you mentioned in the beginning, but let's talk about Ovi." What do you want to talk about with him?
I just had stuff written down and I was crossing stuff off as we were talking about it, and I ain't crossing.
I mentioned that he was doing well, but Kucherov and Stamkos.
I was just gonna say, when you're hot, you're hot. It kind of seems like everything he throws at the net kind of goes in, like that, spin around shot he had against Price and whatnot.
I don't know if we need to talk about it though, because Kucherov and Stamkos have been even better because he's only got he literally has 1 or 2 assists, and
yeah, which is typical of him.
And Kucherov and Stamkos, I think, have the same amount of goals.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
I'm trying to think. What else?
Then yeah, if you want to wrap it up, then yeah.
Trying to think what else. Oh, let's introduce a segment. Was there any kind of what the puck moments of the week? Does anyone have a nominee? Do you want to take a couple minutes and try to find one?
I don't have one off the top of my head, but
has anyone seen any really dumb shit? Try it.
I feel like recently there's a play like a goalie who tried to play a puck behind the net, took a weird carom, and someone just had to tap in. I feel like I saw that recently. I don't know why. Could have been in one at the time I saw this. So.
Fucking in one. Oh, how about your what the puck? How about I got yours, Kevin? Detroit paying fine.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. I was just thinking that.
What is it?
They just signed off to see you. What a bunch of fucking idiots, dude.
Yeah. Real
How
controversial.
old is he? Like 23?
He's young.
He's one of your better players. Yeah, he's 23. They're fucked.
Who?
The Red Wings.
I want. Yeah. Maybe you could just shit on them all in the one segment.
Okay.
We're just roasting teams. We're just roasting teams. We need to find bad plays.
That's what I was trying to find on YouTube, but I can't seem to find any.
Yeah.
Oh, Reddit's a good.
Let's just take like 2 more minutes and try to find something. Like, I think it'd be good. So you're What the Puck. I'll introduce the new segment, and we're just gonna like talk about it's like blunders.
Crosby got a 10-minute like misconduct for abusing the ref.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Oh my God! What a pussy.
You got it, Dan.
I don't even know what happened though. Oh, Crosby misconduct?
Yeah, here I'm gonna watch it. There's this.
Oh my God, I'm gonna watch it. Oh, it's gonna cut me out.
What just happened to Dan?
Oh, dude, I'd maybe put that on the ref. That was bogus.
Yeah, put it on the ref.
Like he was literally just saying "what the fuck" to the ref.
We got to be careful, I think, on the podcast. We don't want to alienate people. We don't want to say we fucking hate teams or players. You just call the situation what it is. I wouldn't say like explicitly like fucking hate Crosby or fucking hate Pittsburgh. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess.
I'm trying to think what mine would be.
That seemed pretty normal. Especially because it's Crosby, too. Like, I feel like...
Did anyone get suspended?
Yeah, what's his name? Goodbranson, didn't he? He got suspended?
Anyway, it's not even worth my time to mention.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like...
I think Cashin might have dropped a or no. Let's find it.
There was something about Shaw. He like the camera might have caught him saying another homophobic slur, but I guess it was like nothing.
I need to find a blunder. What about? Oh, should I say JT Brown standing for the?
Yeah.
Make sure to cut this part. Okay, podcast is over.
What the fuck?
I thought it was going to cut me. I was watching the Crosby thing.
Yeah, that was like no big deal, right?
I mean, it was typical Crosby being a little
I was
pussy.
saying like
all right, Dan. I was just telling Kevin. One thing I think we all need to be better at is we should not explicitly say like I hate the Blues, I hate Sidney Crosby.
Oh, it takes. No, that's fine. That makes sense.
We don't want to alienate people.
I can't promise that I won't do it, but
yeah.
I mean, you can give inclinations that you hate.
Did I
them.
say I hate the Habs? I did say hate the Habs.
It's okay. We're not going to cut that.
Everybody hates the Habs though, except for Habs fans.
I'm trying to think of what my What the Puck is. Maybe I'll go last. But I got to find something real quick. Anyone want to help? Anything else on Reddit?
You could say the Penguins for giving up 10 to the Hawks and then a touchdown.
It's a good one.
Yeah. That's kind of weak, though.
Well, I think the misconduct was because he kept he would like jaw at him, and then he would skate away, and then he like circled back and he'd jaw at him, and then he went back, and then he circled back towards the ref, and he just kept jawing at him. I think the ref was like, you know what, dude, if you're gonna keep running your mouth, you're just gonna sit back in the box.
Let me look at the standings. Rangers stink. I feel like Buffalo did something dumb.
Has anybody like scored on themselves yet? Like a
Own goal.
delayed penalty kind of thing? Nobody's done that yet, I don't think.
No, I don't think so.
I think the worst one that the Hawks did was when Crawford like couldn't decide if he wanted to stay in the net or come out for that Schwartz goal.
Yeah, I'm gonna go on HF boards for 5
That
seconds.
wasn't like bad.
I'm going. Oh, I know what I'm gonna do. Foligno getting in a fight with John Hayden. I'm gonna say Foligno getting in a fight with John Hayden. Anyone think that's okay?
Oh, fuck.
Is that all right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right, I'm going to introduce the segment now. What's the time, Dan? I'm going to introduce it, and whoever wants to go first goes first. Who's going first? That just so we don't have any awkwardness.
It's 51 minutes, 6 seconds. And
I can go first.
Wait, Kevin, which one are you doing?
I'm doing the Red Wings.
Okay, so I'll just take the Crosby one then. That's fine.
Okay. All right. So you got the time, Kevin?
Mm-hmm.
Have you been typing these out?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Just want to make sure. All right. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so now we are going to introduce our new segment on Go with the Flow. We've kind of just been chatting and bantering and yada, yada, yada. And obviously had our first guest, last episode. But we thought it was important to kind of add a segment, and we're open to all ideas and everything. But one thing we kind of thought of that we're going to try out and see how it goes is a segment called What the Puck, where we kind of point out just kind of dumb crap that's happened on or off the ice in the NHL community, during the last week or so, between podcasts, or maybe it's some really dirty shit in the KHL or something we see that we'll tell you about too. So maybe it's not exclusively just the NHL. Maybe we get a little college hockey in there too every once in a while. But we're just going to do our What the Puck. So it could be anything from front office moves to dirty crap on the ice to just blunders and bloopers on the ice and stuff. So we're going to try to just have a little fun with it. So Kevin, we'll start with you. What is your What the Puck moment of the start of the NHL regular season?
All right. Well, mine is not really a moment, but it's on Ken Holland, the GM of the Red Wings. He I don't know if any of you guys heard, but their young forward Andreas Athanasiou, he went unsigned for the whole offseason. Then a few games into the regular season, and like I'm honestly dumbfounded how he went unsigned, because he's clearly one of your more promising young players. He's just sick. He's got wheels. He's got really good hands. I'm honestly baffled why you wouldn't just sign him. Why isn't that your first priority?
And how much did he get?
He's making just over $1 million. Holland basically just went into his pocket. He's like, "Here, do you want this?" He's like, "Sure."
Now, Kevin, what we're going to do is we're going to change your totem pole. Now, Joe Sakic is number 2 on the stingy list, on your stingy list.
Well, I mean, no, I won't say that. Well, fuck, let me think about it. I mean, both of those teams fucking stink right now. So, they're fucked. They literally, they had to, like you said, they had to empty their pockets to pay one of their better players. They have zero cap space right now. I'm not even joking you.
Well, people forget
$0 and 0 cents.
People forget $1.3 million is a lot in Detroit. So.
Oh yeah.
All right. Thank you, Kevin. Well, they did just get a new arena too, so it's you think that revenue would be pouring in. You could give one of your best players $1.3 million, but yeah. So Dan, your What the Puck moment.
Yes, I have the Sidney Crosby 10-minute misconduct. So if you didn't see it, he basically got a 2-minute cross check. It was when the Pens were playing the Lightning. He got a 2-minute cross checking penalty. Was kind of goaded into the penalty. Happened near the bench. Sit in the box. Kucherov got a goal. basically came out of the box, and the first thing he did, instead of shamefully skating back to the bench, is he proceeded to chew out the ref. The ref basically told him to go away. He circled back around, chewed out the ref, and he did it a third time. And finally, the ref was like, "You know what? I'm sick of your shit. Go back in the box." So that was that. So just kind of a stupid move on Crosby's end. It kind of reminds me of when he first came in the league, and if anybody even looked at him wrong, he would complain and whine to the refs. So glad to see he's not over that childish phase of his NHL career. So yeah, that's my moment.
Yeah. All righty. I agree. That thing was all weird. I know, Kevin, we were talking off air, and you thought the ref was kind of strange in that whole thing too.
Yeah, I mean, like, you can't really throw all the blame on Crosby. Like, he was just, if you're too like rattled by Sidney Crosby telling you to, like, what the fuck, or whatever it may have been saying, like, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like, I watched it. Like, it wasn't like brutal. It wasn't like Andrew Shaw going in the box or something like that.
Oh.
I mean, that's like the opposite end of the spectrum. That one's like really bad. Jeez. But like, I didn't even think of. I was thinking of the one where Shaw like broke his stick against the Ducks. I didn't even think of the other one against the Blues when he called the ref something that I'm not going to repeat. Anyway, I just think refs, like, and I've done it too, where you just jaw at refs, and eventually they're like, you know what, I'm just tired of your shit, and I'm not going to take it anymore. And I think Crosby just didn't know when to stop, giving the ref an earful, and he just took it a step too far. But it wasn't like, I don't know, like you said, it wasn't like super bad, but at the same time, I could see why the ref would get annoyed.
Yeah, for sure. Letting your emotions get the best of you when you're getting dunked on for like the second or third time. The Hawks put up a 10 spot on them, and the Lightning, the extra point was good. So, they've just had a few rough games there to start, but I mean, they're doing okay. But just when your emotions get in the way, my what the puck moment, and not because it's anyone's fault, really. It was just I was sitting there and I was like, what the puck? I was actually like, what the fuck? That was a really powerful punch. Is the fight between Marcus Foligno and John Hayden. And John Hayden, it was a good, like, pretty even fight. Not a lot of heavy blows between the two combatants in that one. And then Hayden kind of grabbed him with the left, reached back, and he smoked him. I mean, and Foligno's out right now with a facial fracture. I mean, you don't want to see a guy down like he was down. He got up, he took it and went to the box. But I mean, I'm sure when they went back in the dressing room and whatever, they kind of just discovered that it was more than probably just like a bone bruise, and that he might have had some serious fracture in his face. But it was just kind of, it's been a while, I feel like, since we've seen because fighting's for right or wrong, it's kind of trending out of the league right now, and fighting's happening less often. Let alone though to see a fight that had such a powerful, forceful blow to a guy, and I mean that was just kind of like, wow, what the fuck, it was something amazing there to see that again happen. There's been a few obviously dandy fights in hockey's lifetime, but it honestly, seeing that kind of made it was pretty uncomfortable to kind of see that happen. I mean, I used to be all about it. The old adage was, I went to a fight and a hockey game broke out. It's starting to, it's starting to seem like fighting, maybe with what we know now about head injuries, seeing that happen. I mean, it's not really a good thing for the sport to see something like that happen. But at the same time, I think fighting still makes sure players are held accountable on the ice, because if there was no fighting and you didn't have to worry about getting your face bashed in by a guy like John Hayden, then you could just go run around doing dirty crap all day. Because I mean, Tom Wilson would have a freaking field day if there was no fighting, So, yeah.
One thing about that fight though is, like, I was watching the replay of it, the day or so after it happened, and just watch it. It looked like Hayden was just blindly throwing haymakers and like just got totally lucky he landed one.
Yeah, and the guy had a visor too. He could have just broken his own hand for.
Yeah, he could have fucked up his knuckle or something. Like, I'm not taking anything away from Hayden because he rocked Foligno, but like,
Foligno's a tough
That was
dude.
a pretty-
I mean,
that
he's
was a
not a
pretty-
heavyweight, but he's a tough dude. Like
Yeah.
he's been known for being like a damn good grinder. Fuck that.
What?
I don't know. It's, I don't know, I'm a fucking perv.
What? A damn good grinder. Yikes.
Yeah, you should just say what the fuck. yeah. It was yeah, cut that. Cut that and cut me making fun of Detroit's economy. That wasn't cool.
Yeah, just as we talk about, hey, let's not say we hate anybody anymore. Just ripping on them. I love it.
I said people forget
Time,
this
Kevin. We're at an hour and 50 seconds. Oh my god, that was perfect.
Yeah. Let's cut.
All right. Yeah, I can.
Domi also on another fight. Domi fucking popped Kessler when they played each other. That was beautiful. I don't know if you guys saw that one.
Dude, Max Domi is ugly as fuck.
Oh, he's like his dad. He's ugly as fuck too. They're like 4'2" and they're like little bulldogs.
Dude, but I see so many, I don't know what's like a bunch of shit about people saying like, oh, Max Domi, he could be a model. If he
Oh,
was
God.
I'm like, what are you talking about?
He honestly looks like he's the
Looks like
first.
some sort of
He's the first albino person that's not black. I'm
Oh my god.
Kevin, make sure you're cutting all this, but
Yeah, maybe he's like has that Sammy Sosa thing or whatever.
Oh, stop.
what did I say about when I said he was a damn good grinder?
He's a damn
You're
good
saying,
grinder,
like,
and then you
Foligno's
just
not-
Oh, yeah.
lost your shit. He's a damn good grinder, and then you lost it.
All right, I'm gonna restart it. All right, ready? What's the time, Sir Kevin? Knows.
The time is an hour and
You just said it. You said an hour and 50 seconds. So
hour, 2 minutes, and 10 seconds.
okay.
You know what you
Oh
could do
my
on that?
God.
Like you could do on the Detroit part. You could just say, that's a lot of money in Detroit, because of the new arena, or I don't know. You figure it out.
Yeah. Whatever.
I don't want that on there, but if it is, it is. All right, 3, 2, 1. And Foligno, obviously, who Hayden fought, he's not a heavyweight by any sense of the imagination, but he's been known for being kind of like a grinder, like a gritty type player who was difficult to go up against and kind of would go to the, greasy areas, cliche, another cliche, just a guy that was kind of a pest to play against. Hayden, he's new to the league and he's been playing well for the Hawks too. I mean, he's kind of like an ideal fourth liner. So, yeah, I think just my overall thoughts are, I'm glad there's still a little bit of fighting. So if guys want to run around and, try to take people's heads off, there's still a possibility they're going to be held accountable and have to fight someone who's a lot tougher than them. But at the same time, I don't want to see dudes laying on the ice with head injuries and stuff. So it's just that difficult balance. I think the best thing to do is just let fights happen when they're necessary. But I think we all agree like the stage fights and stuff are dumb and stuff. But that one wasn't really staged.
I think players are starting to realize that though. Like I feel like that's not even a thing. At least I'm starting to feel like people.
You talking
don't
about the
even wanna
stage
fight.
fighting?
Yeah, like people just
Yeah.
don't like with how many like the talented young guys that are coming to the league. It just seems like they don't even want to fight. Like it's pointless almost.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
just
they
seems
just wanna
it's
go out there
usually it's usually the accountable thing.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about like Domi when he fought Kessler, he was just sticking up for a teammate, and Kessler decided to drop the gloves, and actually Domi just uppercutted him. That was I think that was like the only punch thrown, and that was that. But I'm just glad there are fights like that, not the stage ones, because sometimes like the refs get into them and they try to break them up, and that can do more harm sometimes than good.
Yeah.
Because the refs will try to break it up, and then one player, because they've got the ref like grabbing at their jersey or whatever, they can't defend themselves and they just get murdered. So I mean, I think fighting should still be in it. I think the stage fighting shouldn't be. Kevin, like you just said, I think it's stupid. So
Yeah, I agree. Well, you got
it's
guys
just
like
good to see good fights still.
when Tom Wilson and who's it for the former Flyer for the Coyotes who just came back, Ronaldo. I mean, he had to serve like a 5-game suspension to start the year. Wilson got 1 or 2 suspensions in the preseason, and Gwtf is one of the dirtiest bastards I've ever seen. Like, you got guys like that still in the league. Like, it's still good that there's fighting.
They're getting weeded out though, like the
goons.
The goons, yeah.
Yeah, the goons are getting weeded out, and you're even seeing that with the way teams build their teams. It's not even with fighting;
Yeah, exactly.
It's just that speed and skill nowadays is going to beat grit every time. So there's some teams that benefited from being tough to play against, like the team we talked about earlier, the Kings. You know, they had some skill, but they were pretty much gritty and tough to play against. And now it's the really good teams are the Chicagos and the Edmontons and the Torontos and the Tampas, where they're not gonna be the most physical teams, but they're gonna be skilled. But I think if you have a blend, ultimately that's where you're going to be most successful. I.e. Nashville last year.
Yeah. And that's all the more reason why that the Ryan Reeves trade was just so dumb. Like,
yeah.
Like, you already had guys on that team that could, like,
and they got Sheehan too now. So they're like, well, Pittsburgh needs a third line center, so they're going to go get Sheehan. And then I said, oh, well, they still need a third line center because I had as many, you guys and we had as many goals as he did last year.
Yeah.
Guy, I mean, he's a guy who's had some good moments in his career. I think if you're relying on him to be a top 9 player, it's not going to go too well. But, maybe he goes and revitalizes his career there. A lot of guys go to Pittsburgh and things go on the up and up for them. I remember when this is kind of an extreme example because of how the longevity of his career so far. But at the time of the James Neal for Goligoski trade, James Neal was doing real shitty in Dallas. And then, he goes to Pittsburgh and he lights it up. So, I mean, Sheehan's going to get an opportunity to, play with some better line mates. And obviously going to a winning team maybe kind of re-energizes you. I mean, it can't be easy to show up every day and play for Detroit, knowing that, they didn't make the playoffs last year and they're not really a whole lot better. And Zetterberg's not getting younger, et cetera, et cetera. So, hey, maybe that's going to be good for him. But, yeah, he's not like you wouldn't have been on the top of my shopping list, but we'll see how that move goes. Maybe I'm going to look like an idiot. I have no idea.
Yep, who knows?
Dan, anything?
No, I think you guys nailed it pretty much. I don't really have anything.
Yeah, we need to wrap it up.
Why don't you just say I think you guys nailed it, and I'll wrap it up.
Okay.
And that's
all right. All right, Kevin, hang on.
What time we at? What time we at?
Hour and 8 minutes and 5 seconds.
All right. Just say
I'll just be like, you guys nailed it, and then I'll just go silent, and then that's when Nick you can close it up. So
okay.
All right, Kevin. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, I think you guys, pretty much nailed it. So.
Okay, so I think that's all we've got for our October 23rd episode here for Monday. Looking forward to hopefully another exciting week or so of hockey before we return. We're going to try to be more consistent with our scheduling and try to get this thing out once a week. But, obviously we all have personal lives and it's not always easy to record, but we're going to find a way to be a little more consistent, and we'd appreciate any feedback as we continue to get better. We're still relatively new to the podcast game and all that stuff. So if you're listening, give us a follow on our Twitter at GWTF Podcast. If you wouldn't mind to rate and subscribe to the podcast, tweet any, reviews, DM us, whatever you got to do. We'd appreciate any kind of feedback in the early stages. And we're looking forward. So, Dan and Kevin, thanks for joining me.
All right, fellas. Good time as always. I'll catch you guys later.
Yeah, till next time, boys.
All right, that's it.
All right, Kevin, final time is 1 hour, 9 minutes, and 38 seconds.